So welcome back to ABT Lockdown Live. What would an Australian Open story be without, let's face it, the bridesmaid of the Oz Open, Ross Cannizzaro? You have mastered every single tournament in Sydney Harbour except the Oz Open, mate. I know you probably hate guys like me banging on about it, but when are you going to win one of these things, buddy? And it's not going to be this year because, mate, this was Oz Open week and none of us got to fish it.
See, it was supposed to be this year. And now this has happened. And unfortunately, it's just not my time again. And I wouldn't say bridesmaid. It's groomsman, mate.
Sorry.
It's groomsman, you know?
I think you look better in a bridesmaid's dress than a groomsman's suit. But, you know, that's how it works.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. Thank you. Yeah,
no, we've got a few things to talk about tonight, mate. And let's go straight to the first one. The first one is a couple of years ago when we're doing we're looking for some covers for the trade magazine, the After Trade mag. Nicole Smith, who makes that magazine with us at Fishing Monthly, was flicking through the pictures and she found a pic, and I think it was a Christmas edition, and we were looking for some Christmas pics. I'm going to put a pic up on the screen now of something that she found that she thought was hilarious, and it's up on the screen there now. And as soon as I saw it, like, she made a mock-up cover saying, haha, check this out, this is our Christmas cover. And I go, dude, that's Ross Cannizzaro right there. ABT's very own male model is in some stock images, mate. So I thought this was going to be the funniest thing in the world to send that to and say, check it out, Ross, we found a younger you from your modelling days. And you came back to me with this photo right here. Mate, the age hasn't wearied you, has it, mate? You're still male modelling material, aren't you?
Oh, man, you know, like, what can I say, man? I've come from good genes.
Mate,
I'm blushing, man. What can I say? It's a funny thing, but, you know, we would all have a chuckle about it. It's fishing, mate, in the end. We enjoy it, mate. So, yeah.
We've been fishing with you. You've been fishing with us at ABT for maybe 10 or 15 years at least. Yeah, you have got a great sense of humour because I've gone pretty hard on you and you've just been smiling the whole way through it. So either I'm going to end up in a concrete foundation someday or it doesn't really worry you, mate. You're just there for the fun of it. And that's what the Australian Open is, isn't it? For Australia's most serious BREAM tournament, the guys there have a bloody good time, don't they?
Oh, definitely. You know, it's an endurance. It's the hardest competition in Australia, especially for BREAM. And I've always struggled with it. I don't think everyone that's done it's always struggled with it because they all say, oh, yeah, I could easily do 3 days of fishing. It's near impossible. You get to that third day, and I mean, we're lucky that you've split it up the last couple of years too. So we've gone to 2 different arenas, which is awesome because when it used to be 3 consecutive days on the harbour, it was so difficult, you know, and you know, spot choice, you know, spot managing, throw it out the door because it's the Oz Open. You need to go hard from the get-go, and that's been my biggest problem over the last few years. I've always settled in on the first day and just thought, I'll just go for a standard, a very easy-going 3.5 kilo bag, and I'll really hit it hard the last day. But you know what? This year, if it would have all went ahead, I would have changed it all completely and gone bang from the get-go, big fish spot straight up, and then whatever happened on the last day happens on the last day, mate. And hopefully a little bit of luck would have come my way, but look what happened. We're in lockdown.
Well, mate, yeah, it is. And look, 2020, I've seen a lot of things on social media how 2020 can just, you know, go and get stuffed. It's been a bastard of a year with the droughts and the floods and now the coronavirus. But rest assured, this Australian Open will be run at some stage, if not this year, next year. At ABT, we're making it up as we go along at the moment because when the restrictions lift and we're able to do it, hey, we're gonna go and do it. We went through some Australian Open history a little bit earlier in the week. I found my old dusty bit of paper where I had all the winners for this year, and something we've noticed in the last few years, Sydney's a real multicultural venue, mate. A lot of people from different clans live in Sydney, you know, and we call them the standard names. You know, we've got the Skippies, the Whiteys like us. We got the Asians, you know, and the Cedos, and so I still can't tell them all apart, you know, and they're cool with that. And we got the Wogs, you know. I looked at the entry list for last year. We had the Carabettas, the Cannizzaros, the Colatouruses. You know, we got them all there. But I noticed on the lot,
the Bonacorsos.
Yeah, you've got them all, mate. Like, we're highly outnumbered. But when I look at the long-term scoreboard, mate, it looks like a state of origin for the last 10 years. It's about 10 for the Skippies, 2 for the Asians, and the Wogs are still to register a point, mate. I know you're going to be good for it soon.
Absolutely. Yeah, it'll come good. Don't worry about that.
Mate, and I really appreciate the support that you guys and your clan of fishermen, mate, you bring to ABTs. Every time we put a big event on there, you guys turn up year after year. So we really appreciate the support we get for you guys, even though we sometimes at the briefing go a bit hard on you saying it's your year this year, it's your year.
And that's totally fine. And that's totally fine by us, trust me. We can take it. It's all good. We've had many, many years of it. My father used to cop it back in the early 70s, mate, so we're still getting it to these days. That's fine. That's fine. We can take it all right.
Mate, I know when you finally win one of these things, I'm going to sit back and say, righto, Rosh, you can let it rip now. Because if you can't take it, don't give it. That's the way it is.
Absolutely.
Hey, we ran a camera on your boats for a few of the last Australian Opens, and there are a couple of really memorable captures that I've noticed. One of them was a fish on reasonably light line, it must have been, around some of those really deep water fly wharves that they have upstream of the Harbour Bridge. And we've got it playing in the background now, but, you know, generally the comment is when they see people watch that video is there's a good bream and it has got you stitched up to a world-ending level into those pylons and you get it out, mate. It's an epic capture. And just talk us through, what do you do when those game-changing bream end up in that sort of country? How do you get them out?
Well, that's the thing. Over so many years of experience of fish and structure, and we're pretty lucky in Sydney, we've got some heavy-duty structure here. So probably the worst possible thing we used to do in the early days is to go as hard as we possibly can. And to get the bite, you've got to go light, obviously. That's why we're always running 4 and 6 pound leaders. So the only way to sometimes actually extract those fish is to actually open your bail arm and let them come to a complete halt, thinking that they've got away, and then all of a sudden just keep their head coming your way. And usually, I mean, they're so buried in there. They're 3 or 4 pylons in, but they're not in that hysterical mode that they were in seconds ago when they were hooked in the side of the mouth and going crazy and their heartbeat's going crazy. You settle them down and then you just get their head coming your way and eventually they come out. The amount of fish that I've caught like that, and I can honestly, nearly every single competition I do in the harbour, I've always either opened the bail arm on a fish and extracted them out, and it's been the key fish that earlier, like in my earlier history in tournaments, I used to lose all those fish and go, you know, if it was only for that fish. And now I was able to get that fish out and I go, you know what, I got that fish in, and years ago I would have lost that fish and I would have said it was only that fish. And that's how we do it. I mean, if they are running back to structure and there's nothing you can absolutely do about it, just open your bail arm, free them up a little bit. Eventually, they get to the feeling that they're not hooked anymore. And then you just slowly, and if they do tend to feel like they're hooked again, open the bail arm again, let them go again, and then just gently just bring them back out. 9 times out of 10, they come out, man. It's pretty awesome. Yeah.
It takes a lot of experience to have the fish of a lifetime on and for you to, it's counterintuitive to open that bail arm, but we all know it works, mate, and you're a master exponent of it.
And that's the other thing too. Like, a lot of people say, like, I've caught many fish like that, and they've come up the side of the boat and they're a 27 forker, but it's because sometimes you're just in that really weird angle of the boat and the really bad cast that you put in, and all of a sudden you're hooked up and you're in a really bad way, and then you bring it up and you're thinking that it was a kilo fish, but it comes up as a little 27 forker. The amount of times that happens all the time. And that's what I mean when you're fishing racks or something and I got done up by a big one, but you never know. It could have been just 28 forker. So
yeah. You don't know till it's in the net, do you? Look, some of the other footage we've got from you, and the last year we ran the Australian Open in 2019 that Jamie McEwen won, you had a last day bag that was, 9 times out of 10, that bag would have won the Open. You come in with near 5 kilos on the last day, only to be beaten by someone with exactly the same sort of bag, mate. And for me, it was such compelling video to watch because every single fish is close to structure, in tight to structure. There's ferry wakes, there's wash, there's waves, it's nasty weather. It seems like the harbour fishes better and better the worse the weather is, doesn't it?
Oh, definitely. I mean, because the harbour is so busy, and I mean, even on a standard midway through the weekday, it's a very, very busy waterway. So those fish are used to it. They're not used to it being like a complete perfect mill pond. When it's like that, that's the hardest time to be catching it. And as beautiful it is to fish those conditions, it's actually the hardest to fish those conditions. And that's the worst day you can be fishing in the harbour. The amount of times I've left home and Dad's gone, "You're crazy. It's raining. It's gale force winds." I said, "This is the best time to be on the water." And it's pre-season training for me. So when it's blowing its head off and it's raining a gale and it's ridiculous weather, it's the best time to be out fishing the harbour. When it's chaotic and there's a lot of movement and the waters are getting smashed, those fish are just moving around and looking for food. That's when they are feeding.
Yeah, and look, that day it seemed like every fish, it was kilo fish after kilo fish after kilo fish, and we loved watching those highlights, mate, and we really appreciate it when you take a camera with you. You take us on the journey with you, and I'm sure, I've caught a lot of fish in the harbour, a lot of other guys have caught fish in the harbour. Every capture I watch from every angler that runs a camera, I learn something from it. It's not where it is, it's how people fish, Guys like us, we don't get to see other people fish a lot of the time, and we all do it differently. We all have our own take on it. And I know that, you're probably as interested in me as watching the highlights because that guy does it different and he does it different, and it just gives you new ideas for down the track.
Yeah, definitely.
Mate, one final thing, and I ask everyone tonight that we're on the show this question, is if you're got an hour to go in the Oz Open, you need a kicker, what outfit and lure do you take and what situation do you fish it in? I don't need to know spots, but I just need to know what's your outfit and what's your lure and what's your tactic to catch the winning fish in the last hour.
Harbour or Hawkesbury?
In the harbour, because that's where the last day.
Last hour. Okay. Obviously, you'd have to fish some heavy structure. I'd probably try and find something with a bit of current movement on it. And I'd have to fish it as deep as possible. So I wouldn't, but the only thing is you'd have to float the baits down as naturally as possible. Talking about the last day, so it's had a lot of pressure. I'd fish a 1/24 nitro jig head, number 2 size hook with a gulp crabby, and I'd pitch it as tight, as far up underneath the wharf I could, and I'd just hop it down as slow as I could, let it go past every pylon I could, and just hold on. I'd use 2 to 4 kilo, and I'd up the lead at 6 pound. I'd go as heavy as I could because anything beyond that in the harbour, they tend to get a bit skittery. So I go to 6 pound, and that's absolute maximum. But it's white knuckle fishing, but it's the way to get the big ones out.
Mate, you have won a lot of tournaments in the past in that area. It seems like you're at the point where you don't need to train that much. You can just rock up to an arena and you sort of know what's going on. Explain the feeling to people that when you hook a fish in that last hour and it's on the lightish sort of line and everything goes right and all of a sudden a 1.4 kegger hits the net. Explain that feeling when you know that's the winning fish. How good is it?
I've got goosebumps, and I'm not even doing it right now. So it is an amazing feeling. The amount of times, and not even in your competition, but in team competitions that we've actually done that, it is like the best feeling. I don't know. There's nothing that could describe it. You put so much of your heart and effort and all these timeless hours, all this stuff that we do in preparation, and it's just down to that final minute that it could all just go pear-shaped on you. But if everything's right and you're true to your tackle and you know what you're doing with your rod, angle of the boat, everything goes right, and you net that 1.4 kilo fish, you're on top of the world. It's the best feeling, and you don't even think about the money. It's not about the money. It's about it's that goal, and how far do you go with it? I'd love to fish a whole heap more of them and do a lot more, but I'm a dad now, so it's a lot harder for me. And 10 years back, it was different. I travel the country around with you, Steve, but these days I've had to really focus on what I need to do. But I can guarantee you, I will be back and back even harder than ever. I've really taken it easy for the last couple of years, and I've given the boys a good chance to catch up and do what they have to do. But give it another couple of years, I'll be back into it.
Well, mate, if I surveyed everyone watching this show tonight, they will say that you're a man who's got his priorities right, mate. We love seeing you at the events. We love the clan coming, and we love the fact that you're as competitive as always, whether you've spent a week pre-fishing or a minute pre-fishing, mate. You're every time that I finish in front of you on the leaderboard in that place, and it's not often, I feel like I've really mastered it, mate. So thanks for joining us on the show tonight. Thank you for joining us on Lockdown Live, mate, and we're really rubbing our hands together when we can finally, run an Australian Open, and maybe you can have one of these hanging on your wall at the end of it, mate, because I reckon that'll look good on your wall.
It would. Look, I'll show you these other ones right here. It would look great next to all those ones there.
Yeah, mate, that's a pretty enviable wall there, mate. Thanks for joining us, mate, and we'll catch up to you when we see you in Sydney Harbour next time.
Thanks, guys. All the best. Thank you.